So good to see so many people from so many nations. From the Philippines, from Colombia, Madagascar, Kona, Brazil, Korea, the US, Japan, Hong Kong, Paraguay, Singapore, Mexico, Australia, Chile, Tonga, Panama. Wow. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's good morning for me here in Hong Kong. My name is Fabi. I'm originally from the great nation of Mexico, but I've been living in Asia for the last 25 years. I'm part of the president's team for the University of the Nations, and I'm also the international dean for the College of Arts. And we are just so excited. I need to tell you, this is such an amazing season for us as university, and we are just so thrilled to see what the Lord is doing amongst us, and we are so excited for this new system, this new registration system. We have a whole team that has been working for a long, long time. Some of them are on this call, so I will call them up in a bit, but it's been really wonderful to to see this into completion, even just to have this call. It's been, I think, for some of us have been something that we have been really dreaming to just see how we can continue to extend this training. And so thank you for your time. I know that all of us are busy leaders, and I know that everyone has many things to do, but we appreciate that you make the effort to come this morning and this afternoon or this evening, looking at our the spread of everyone that is here this morning or afternoon or evening. And so we are going to have a training. We especially wanted to bring people from all over the world. So maybe you can be a champion of your region, and you'll get to understand more what does this new registration system means. And we have been going from the UofN has been going, I believe all of us know, from what we call 1.0, which it was with all the faculties were in one place, the president was in one place, and that was in Kona. And then we move into 2.0, which is where we have been all these years, where there's global leaders or global deans, and the faculties have expanded into the nations. And now with 3.0, or what we call 3.0 or 2026, is where we have expanded into teams. And all the faculties have expanded or they are expanding at the moment into different teams to be able to go to where we are now, to be able to actually go to the grassroots, right? I don't speak Nepali, I don't speak Japanese, I only speak three broken languages. That's what I always say. I don't speak perfect English, I don't speak perfect Spanish, I don't speak perfect Chinese. But this will enable us to go into the grassroots. And so this new system will really give us also a lot of more flexibilities in how we create curriculum, and different modes of delivery, learning. And so it's just really exciting. I see it as an upgrade. I think 2.0, or in the last years, has really served us, has really propelled us to this moment. I believe it has given us the foundation for this moment. And the way that I see it is like when you plant a plant and there's this pot, and it keeps growing and growing and growing and growing until the pot is actually about to burst because the roots have grown so much. And I think this is where we are today. And I think this new system will really give us I will say it's not just a pot, it's actually a field that can really propel us into the rest of the nations. And so I'm very visual. I like to give visual. So just to give you kind of a visual example of where we are as the UofN. And so it's just for all of us to just get excited about what God is doing in this season. And so I'm just gonna do a couple of introductions. The first one I want to introduce is Brad Tout. He is maybe you can wave, Brad. Yeah, there's Brad. He is part of the provost team. And if you have any questions about the reference guide, about actually anything, you can always go to Brad. And he is always so willing to help us. But he has been one of the main ones that have been working with this and just processing everything. So welcome, Brad, all the way from Australia. And then I want to introduce Natalia. Natalia is from Colombia. Natalia, you can wave. And Natalia has been one of the ones as well that has really been preparing this. And this call, when we were in Kona for the LTS, we talk a little bit. We will say, hey, it'll be great to have something on Zoom that we can offer to people. And she was like, yes, let's do it. And she's the one that has been kind of spearheading all this training today. So thank you, Natalia. Thank you so much. She is the registrar for the Spanish world. And again, if you have any question in regards to courses, degrees, she is very, very willing to help us. There's another person, Miriam Steyer. Are you here from Brazil? Where's Miriam? If you want to just wave. Miriam is she is from Brazil. Miriam, yeah, beautiful Miriam. She is the international registrar. So she is actually the leader of all the registrars from all the different regions. And she has she is an amazing person that anytime you have a problem, she is always trying to solve it. So she's been part of this team with all the registrars and with the technical team and with the provost team, trying to see how we can transition from this system into the new system. And so so these are the team. I know there are other registrars on the call. I see some of them from the different regions. So yeah, welcome everybody. So I hope that you guys will enjoy it. Please have your iPad, or if you're like high tech, or your notepad if you are not too high tech, not too techy, but just to take notes. And we have tried to make this as interactive as possible. And again, really, we would like if you would like to say, I would like to offer this training to my region, please talk to us. Because this is really the heart of, we have to train around 30,000 people, right? The mission has 30,000 staff, and all of them, I know that for some of the largest campus, they have a training or a registrar, but we really want the whole mission to understand what is happening in the next month. So I'm gonna hand it over to the team. Welcome, bienvenidos. And yeah, let's have a great time together. Over to you guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Fabi, for introducing and being with us. And it's as Fabi was saying, it's such a joy to be together and to see many people from many different nations. When we were planning and dreaming with this workshop, one of the things that was in our heart is to have as many nations as possible. We really want representation of many nations, and this is a dream coming true. We have around 96 people. I don't know how many nations. If someone wants to come in the chat, he can let me know later how many nations we have, would be great. But it's so nice to be here together. As Fabi was saying, this is exciting news for the University of the Nations. We are entering in a new season. Some of you might hear about UofN 2026. Others, maybe you don't know a lot when you were signing the form. Many of you answered that you don't know a lot about UofN 2026. So that's why we are doing this workshop. So don't worry if this is the first time that you hear it. You are in the right place. And if you hear it but you want confirmation, you are also in the right place. And if you know a lot and you want to know more, you are also in the right place. So yeah, we will start this time together. And as Fabi say, we want to do it as interactive as possible by Zoom. We have the presence of our amazing registrars. I don't know where you are, or if we have people from the college or from the academic affair team, you just raise your hand. If you are part of the University of the Nations staff, anyone here, raise your hand. And each one of them has been doing an amazing job, doing different trainings on site, in the bases. Maybe you have been part of one of those. But this workshop, we want to be able to reach to those that cannot go to an outside training or want to learn more and become a champion for the regions. So I'm talking a lot. And I will try to talk a little bit more slow, because we are having simultaneous translation in Portuguese and Spanish. So we just have to remember the ones we are talking in English, that we had to be a little bit slower so that the translation can also go well. So friends, today I want to start, we want to start introducing the timeline of the system, as it's a transition year for us. So I don't know if you can see the PowerPoint, the presentation. Can you see it? Yeah, okay, it's there. And by the way, I want to thank team from San Diego Baja and all his team, media communication team that is working with him, for his amazing service to us with the Zoom and with all the translation and with all the PowerPoints. This will not be able without them. So thank you so much, guys. So this is the timeline, and as you see, and 2025 and 2026 are 2 years of transition for us. What that means? That means that we are living in two systems. So that means that we are still working in the current system for courses that have dates in 2025. You will register those courses in the current system, but that means also that we had to start to work in the new system for courses that had dates 2026 onwards. Yeah. So like one person wrote me because she entered to the new system, as all of you received the new communication, the email that went out to everyone announcing the new system, and this person is like, where are all my schools? I don't find anything, and I cannot register my DTS. I don't know who else went through that, but I know it could be confused. Where are my courses? Why I don't see my courses? And this is because we are living into systems, and the new system is like starting from zero. You will don't find any of the previous instance courses there. Is starting 2026 onwards. So today, 2025, in the new system, we can create curriculum. We can create course instance registrations that have dates 2026. And this is, you will learn a little bit of this during this training. This is why we are here. We want to learn also how to do things right, but we also want to learn the hard, and we want to learn the concepts. So we have prepared a schedule. So we hope to cover as much as possible, but if we don't cover as much as possible, we will see other moments where we can input more information and more training if we need. So in 2026, in January, we will have the full functionality. Actually, it's not January, actually will be March, because we will be finishing the app on March. But after March, you will be able to add the students, make payments, the grades, and the review. So as I'm saying this, I think you might have questions. So please, if you have questions, you can write in the chat the questions, and we will have around 20 minutes up for question and answer at the end of this Zoom meeting. So we will be able to address the question and answer. So if you are having questions as we talk, please write your questions and we will try to see how to approach them and how to answer them. So yeah, I just want to let you know and give you this visual. I'm going to send all the material that we are presenting today. We are going to send through email so that you can have a record of that, and you can also, yeah, refer later if you need. So just to make it clear, we are using two separate systems. You are using the current system for courses that still have dates in 2025, and the new system is for courses that is 2026 onwards. So with this timeline in mind, sorry, did I react to something? Okay. So with this timeline in mind, I want Brad to give us a few words about the vision of the UofN 2026. We were talking with him the other day that is so many new things. It's not just the system that changed where we register courses. It's the way we register courses. It's the concepts behind, if we can call it concepts, the new way to write courses are changing. And this is not just to make more complicated life for us as a course leader, a course staff. This is in response of God's vision to the University of the Nations. And you have to understand, guys, that we are an apostolic movement, and we are also very innovative, and disruptive innovation is something that is our DNA. So we are just hearing God's voice to go in the future and to move forward. So I just want Brad to give us introduction. Why, Brad? Why we are changing everything? Why we are entering in a new system?
I think the main reason is you and I like to do a lot of work. No, there are many very good reasons. For Fabi mentioned before that the UofN has grown from a place that where everything was focused in one location, then went globally and had to develop systems for that. We've had systems that have served us really, really well for a really long time. They were extremely innovative, but the original ones were paper-based. I don't know how many of you were involved with the UofN when forms were printed on paper and posted around the world to get approved from one dean to a college committee to a provost person. We had it was brilliant for what was available at the time. Also, we're in a place where the teaching was only could be possible in person. When we had originally, we began, it was you had a classroom, physical classroom, students were there, and the speaker was in the classroom with you, and that was the only way we could run courses when we first began. And over the years, innovation has happened. I can recall when the Genesis conferencing system and ministry began, one of our first UofN workshops in Kenya in 2001, where I'm not even sure no, that's not the right year. But anyway, we had this connection between nations possible through phone lines that was set up and had all this expensive gear. But for the first time, we were able to have speakers from one nation being involved in a classroom in another nation. And we also saw more recently the extension studies system created, initially for the purpose of people coming to receive training that were not and would not be part of YWAM and the U of N, but the flexible approach that was possible in that became something that more courses started to use because they weren't confined to running courses on a day by day, week by week basis in one location. We saw the introduction of the online record system. I think that was 2016, where this paper-based system was converted into an online system, but it was still built around the same original system. We're seeing more and more happen, particularly saw an explosion of it with the during COVID, where more things are happening online. There's online training courses, and there's many tools available to that. For that, we are at the moment in the U of N developing a learning management online training system that will soon be available to all of us to be able to use, that's specifically designed around the way the U of N operates. We're seeing more courses running that are not so much just a lecture phase followed by a field assignment, but they're integrated together where training is happening at the same time as putting it into practice. I think of the leadership courses and staff training courses in Australia that are registered in the U of N. And other different innovative delivery approaches have been growing. And so our system wasn't really well designed to cater for that. We had other challenges too. In the current system, we had limited course codes, so we ended up putting more than one course under the same course code, even though there was differences. We had two forms of credit with the extension studies and the regular system with full learning credit and learning credit units, and that was helpful, but at the same time caused some challenges. We had courses that were described by weeks of content, but they weren't running by weeks. And we had uncertainty about what you could or could not be adapted in a course for a local context. So there's a number of things that were getting to the point where we, like Fabi said, the routes are restricted. We needed to expand. Therefore, we needed a new system. And in this 2026 system, just a few of the highlights about it. We have unlimited course codes, so that rewards innovation and multiplication. We can create new courses much more easily than we have done in the past and find a home for them in the record system. We have one form of credit, whether you're doing a course online or whether you're doing it face-to-face, whether you're doing it spread out over a period of time or whether you're doing it in a fixed week of time, one form of credit. We've got courses now being described by the end result, by what we want students to have learned and achieved by the end of the whole course, instead of describing it by week by week by week. And that's created we'll talk more about that later, but that's created both clarity and flexibility. The new system, we have greater flexibility in delivery. We can actually record in the system if you're doing a course that's spread out over longer periods. Whereas before we were kind of having to crunch it down as if it was happening within 12 weeks, and the system wasn't really set for that. So we've got greater clarity too with the new form of course definition about what must be included in each course and how a course can be adapted for the context in which it's being delivered. So these are just a few highlights. I'm sure more will come out during today and tomorrow about the specifics of some of those. I'm sure you'll have already questions popping into your mind, but let's put them in the chat and hopefully we'll get time to answer some of those a little bit later. Thanks, Natalia.
Thank you, Brad. So, like when I was hearing Brad, and in all this process of entering into the UofN 2026, I can see like Brad was talking about how before we couldn't register a course this way, but now we are having more space and more freedom. So those are the things that you are going to discover. I love this not just this new system, but where God is taking us and the vision for UofN 2026. Because I think many of us as a course leaders, sometimes we were frustrated in the past, like, oh, how can I run this? But the system was not letting us run the course because it was like having certain limitations. So everything that was different, that was extension studies. I think many of you have that experience, right? Like, I want to run this different. And they will say, no, it's extension studies course because we cannot put in our normal courses. And I think that didn't reflect really what we were doing. And it didn't reflect also what the students were accomplishing in their courses, in their academic things that they are doing. So now I want to continue with this side-by-side comparison. We are going to see some points difference between the old system and the new system, and I'm just going to try to just make the point and not go very deep in each of the points. But if you have any questions in any of the points, please write the question, and then we can give feedback at the end. So first, approval process. This is something we used to do, that we have a registration catalog of periods every 3 years. And then we have course instance registration. And I know many of us, we got confused. Do I have to do my, why do I have to pay again? If I already registered my course and now I had to register my students, which one? I always get, we as a registrar, we always get that questions. And me as a course leader, that I also run courses, I was also confused. So this is something how it used to work. We used to have a course registration every 3 years or every time that was new at that location. And then we have as many course instances in those 3-year period. But that, it didn't reflect really well quality, because in the course instance registration, we will put like who we suppose that is the course leader will be the course leader for those 3 years. And sometimes that even don't happen. And when we are filling the weeks, we are kind of like thinking, oh, maybe I invite this speaker, maybe, but that is for the 3 years. So you really don't know if that person will really come. So it was the system that we have, it served us well, but it didn't reflect really what it was happening in our courses. And now we are having a much better way to reflect that. So we are no longer having course registration every 3 years. Can you clap for that? I don't know if you are excited for that. Maybe it's too soon. You are still like, I don't know what that means. Well, that means that you don't have to re-register your course every 3 years again and again and again, right? And that you had to pay for that. Oh, thank you. The reactions are coming. Oh, that's fun. Look at that reactions. Yeah. So now we are going to have course instance registration. It means that the approval process will be attached to the course instance registration. For the first course instance that you register in the new system, they all will go through an approval process because it's a new system for all of us. So it will go through an approval process. But after that first one that go through an approval process, you might don't need to go through an approval process the second one. That depends on the college, and that depends if you run your courses constantly. So it's much easier because now you only have to worry about one registration. And for this first registration, and we will see a little bit that today later, we only had to worry to put the basic information. And you will see that the college has done an amazing job to rewrite all the courses in the new format of the University of the Nations 2026. This is one of the things I love of the UofN 2026 is how the courses are looking. And you will see, oh, maybe my course looks so different. This is why we are in this workshop, to learn how this course looks now. But you will see that the college has done such an amazing job, and you will just have to choose the different units. Units is a new term and just introducing to you instead of weeks, but you don't have to worry about this. We are going to explain more as we go alongside. So before, the review that we received from the college was every 3 years. So every 3 years when we were doing the registration, we have contact with the dean, and the dean might tell us, Natalia, your counseling school has a lot of inner healing. You have to put a little bit of emotions or a little bit more of counseling tools, right? That was a real example I'm giving you. So that was the only communication we have. But now in the new system, and this part is not ready yet in the new system, this part will come after March 2026. But we will have the review in every course instance registration. We will have a part when we put the students, where we put the grades, but we will also have a part where we can give feedback, where there are going to be some questions that will make us get feedback from our school. And the deans will receive that feedback. And I think it will be more interactive, and it just hard to explain how everything is going to work because we don't have that part ready. So we will need more trainings online, don't worry, and on site, and all the ways that we can have. Another thing, the fees. You know, the fees before, we used to pay for course registration and for course instance. And the course registration was like $125, or the 10% of the cost of the total cost of the course. And that was really hard for some bases, because if you have 10 courses that you run every 3 years and you had to re-register all of them at the same time, we are talking a lot about a big amount of money, right? So now that is not happening anymore. And you could see there the new way of fees and the new way of payment. So now we are not charging for curriculum creation. That's great. You can also clap for that. We are now charging per student, per unit, and we have different categories. We have A nations, B nations, C nations. So you can see the different prices. For A nation is $2.40 for credit. B nations is 0.8 cents, and C nation is 0.20 cents. So you can see here an example. DBS is 12 credits. So the student, you will pay $28 per student. If it's B nation, $9. If it's C nation, $2. So it's much simpler. And if you have any questions, please write in the chat, and we will try to answer at the end. Before, we didn't use to pay for outreach in the current system, but now the outreach is part of we will pay for the outreach the same as a lecture. So I know it's so many technical details, so I don't want to lose time over explaining. So you have questions, please write to them. Before, when we were creating new curriculum in the current system, we were doing by weeks, and 1 week was 1 credit. But now, like when we create a new curriculum, we are talking about Now we call it course definitions. That's a new concept. You can also write there course definition, units. Those are the new concepts we are learning. And so the credits will be by units. And we will learn that in the way today. Before, we used to get 1 credit was 50 hours. So every 50 hours, we were gaining 1 credit. But now every 25 hours, we are getting 1 hour of work. We are getting 1 credit. And those are the things that it might sound tricky in your mind. You are like, what she's talking about. Don't worry. I think as we roll out this workshop and we have time for the questions and answers, we will understand each other. So we can go to the second slide. Before modes of delivery, we have live learn, that is a full learning week. That is like how we run the DTS. We live there full. We immerse ourselves there full time. We were having the extension studies and the online extension studies. That was like something amazing because it helped us a lot to cover many of the things we were not able to put in the full learning week. But now we have 4 modes available for all college and centers. So we have live learn, that is you are on the site, you are on site, and you are having the and I think Brad will share a little bit more of this, but you are experiencing the education there with everyone. We have distance learning, that is like how we are doing now, is distance learning. We have blended learning. If we are like running a program that is maybe half Zoom and half on site, and we have in person, no live learn. And in person, no live learn will be maybe like those courses that we used to do of extension studies, that we say the church is coming to take a counseling school twice a week. So they are coming to our base, they are receiving the course, but they are going back to their houses and not living with us, but we are seeing each other when we have the course. So that opened a lot of possibilities, and that's what Brad was talking about. Like before, we had to call everything that was different, we have to call extension studies, and that is not bad, but it doesn't reflect really who we were and what we were doing. I remember like we were doing a counseling seminar in our base for church people, and when we were giving the certificates of the counseling seminar, it was saying extension studies college, and people is like, what is extension studies? We don't understand what is that. But now with this new system, the College of Counseling can offer this course in the distance learning mode of in-person non-learn, and when they graduate, they can have the certificate with the College of Counseling. So that's amazing. That's for me something I really love. And I think the other ones, I'm not going to finish this I will cover later. So now I want to pass on to Brad. Is that right in the program? Or I think we are going to see the video of the overview of the web app. So we are going to see just a small video, 1 minute and 30 seconds. And then we will continue with Brad taking us from week to units, because that's something that you hear me saying, units. Now we are not talking about weeks. So that is a transition we had to do in our minds. And Brad will guide us through that transition. So if we can put the video.
Welcome to the UofN web app. Here you will find 3 main categories. First, the course instance registration, where you will be able to create a new course instance for your location. We also have a dashboard where you can find the status of each one of your course instances. We also have the course catalog of the UofN, which allows you to see all the different courses and units that we have in the UofN. You can also see more details for every unit and course. Finally, we have the section of curriculum creation. Here, you can create a new course or a new elective unit for an existing course. You can also see the status of your course or your units. This is an overview of the UofN web app. Thank you.
Thank you. I think before Brad continues, Fabi is going to summarize. Give us a summarize of everything I say because I say many things at the same time.
Yeah, I just thought if it might be helpful, maybe we can go back to the modes of delivery. If we can put that slide up, that will be great. Just because this is so important, and I think this is one of the main things that we should really try to get across of the modes of delivery, because this is where actually we can dream even bigger. And so as you see, maybe for you at the moment doesn't make a lot of sense because you're just coming into this new system. But the modes of delivery, of course, will be live learn. Something to note is that the DTS will always be live learn. That will always be residential. That will not change. The mode of delivery for the DTS, because it's the entry to our mission, will always be on site. But the rest of the courses, and Brad, please jump in at any time. There's a variety of ways that we can deliver the learning. And this is not just something that I think we see in 3.0 is that the learning and the training is not just for our mission, but it's actually for the spheres and it's actually for the masses. And so I think that's where the Lord has really gifted us with this new system, that we can have the flexibility to create things not just for the YWAMers, but actually for a church or for people in the marketplace or for, yeah, so the delivery modes are way more flexible. So what I always want to say is, at the moment people say, I couldn't register my course, I couldn't register this. And what I have been saying now is, please talk to us, because there is a really high chance now that you are able to do what maybe in 2.0 we couldn't fit that. We always talk about these containers. Brad and I have this conversation often. Where do we put these courses? Because we don't want to say no. And especially in this season, I believe there's a lot of innovation. So there's different ways. Maybe some of you guys don't know what is extension studies. Extension studies was created for distance learning or online learning for people that have not done a DTS, people that are out in the masses in a way. And so just for you guys to give you a little bit of context of this, because sometimes we talk, but maybe you don't understand some of the concepts. So maybe take a picture of this, because this is really, really important. This is probably the core of the new system, not just about the technicalities, but this is actually how we're going to move forward. So over to you, Brad.
Yeah, Fabi, I send these 2 slides to everyone in the chat so that you guys can have it.
Thanks, Natalia and Fabi. Look, guys, there will be more that you will grow in understanding as more and more detail comes out. So don't worry that you're not grasping necessarily everything. We may have some more questions about some. I'll just point out a couple of things that were mentioned. Firstly, that the first time you register a course instance in the new system, and the first time any course is registered at your location in the new system, it will go through a college or center approval process. After that, they will mostly just be automatically published and approved. You don't necessarily go through an approval process every time. The colleges may bring some things in every now and then. They may say, hey, we need to take a look at this one, and it might need to go through an approval process again. But generally speaking, once you've had your first course instance registration approved in the new system, the following course instances after that will be automatically approved. They won't need to go through an approval process. The second thing I just wanted to highlight when we talk 25 hours per credit, that's of the kinds of learning activities that you'd normally have in a course, in a classroom, in workshops, in practice sessions, various things like that that directly relate to the purpose of the course. And for what we've been working with in a 1 week under the old 50 hours, that's generally been about what we've had for those kinds of activities within that 50 hours. So really that doesn't change. We're just recognizing then that those 25 hours could occur in other ways with the distance learning, blended learning, and the other delivery modes. For those courses that are still running as Live Learn, in addition to that 25 hours, there's still the 25 hours of involvement in the community. So that, again, has not really changed for those courses that are running in Live Learn. It's still effectively 50 hours, but only 25 hours is measured when we're talking about credit. Again, more of this will come out as you work more and more with the system. We're all continuously learning. I'm going to take some time now to just refer to the concept of units a bit. When we talk, those of you who are joining tomorrow will be looking at course curriculum creation, and that means others will also look at units again within that. But let me just give you a bit of an introduction to the concepts of units and how that works for you in a school. So firstly, in the 2026 definitions, they are not changing what the course is. They're just changing the way we describe the course. I want to set your mind at ease. DTS is still DTS. Counselling school is still counselling school. Photography school is still photography school. Dance school is still dance school. We haven't changed the actual course. We're only changing the way we've described the course. For courses that have been run in multiple locations, as Natalia mentioned, the colleges and centers have done a lot of work to get course definitions written for almost all of those. I think we're getting very close to completing everyone, so that there's a common course definition that will work for everybody who's at multiple locations. And they were written by groups of people gathering together and saying, what do we do in this course? What are we already doing? Again, it wasn't about creating something different. It was just working out how to describe it in the new system. If you run a course the way you've already been running it, you will most likely be achieving what's been written in the units for that new definition. So again, don't start to get anxious. Don't be concerned that you have to change your course in any major way. That's not likely. If you've been running a course a particular way, that will still work with the new system. But at the same time, it is an opportunity to review and refresh your course, looking at it from a different perspective with the new way that we're describing it. So you may choose for yourself that there's some things, hey, it will be, we're not been including that. Let's make sure we do that next time. Or, hey, is there something, there's an opportunity here for us to include something that we haven't included before. So learn from the new course definitions and see how that can actually improve and refresh your course. If your course is one that just you are running at your own location and it's not running at multiple locations, you will need to write the course definition for your course before you can put your course instance registration. This, by the way, this PowerPoint will be sent out to you as well. And for you to present it in your regions, feel free to translate it for your languages. So what is a unit? As we've seen, courses are described in units. Each unit is a collection of learning goals, another new term, with a closely associated purpose. A unit is not describing a week of your course. What they together add up is all of the things that we want a student to have learned by the time they finish the whole course. So you can look at this as a list of the end product, the destination that we're taking our students to. It defines what that destination is and describes it for us. When you look at the units, I'll say some more about that shortly. When you look at the units, you will see that some units involve more learning than others. We talked about credits be relating to 25 hours of learning. So each unit will have a number of credits associated with it, and that represents the amount of learning that it usually takes for students to reach those learning goals from that unit. Each credit represents 25 hours of learning directly targeted at those learning goals. I've already mentioned about the additional community involvement for the live-learn mode of delivery. Again, when you look at units in the system, you'll see that some of them, and I'll show you an example shortly, some of them have a range of credits, such as 2 to 3. What that means is that you have some flexibility as a course leader with that unit when you're delivering it in your course, where you can give a little bit more emphasis to some units and a little bit less emphasis to others. There'd be, if the unit was 2 to 3, you'd have to give at least 50 hours of learning, but you could give as much as 75 hours of learning for it. So you've got a little bit of flexibility where you can adjust the amount of learning, the amount of emphasis you give to each unit. Again, I'll show you an example shortly. You'll also see that there are required units and elective units. The required unit represents learning goals that must be included in your course if it's to be achieved what this course is meant to achieve. This is one of the changes that's so helpful for us. We've had, for many years, we've had like a 12-week example, and you're able to adjust a certain amount of that, but it's not been clear what the implications of that adjustment is. Maybe there's something in that old course template that if you adjust it, it really changes the nature of the course. We're describing it in terms of units, describing it in terms of learning goals, enables us to say these are the parts of the course that should not change if it's going to continue to be this course. But also there's room for maybe some electives where there is some space for contextualizing it, making it your own for your location. So the example that I have for you is from the School of Evangelism. And you'll see here the 3 main units for this course, the 3 main areas of learning for a School of Evangelism. And these have always been the 3 main learning areas for a School of Evangelism. The gospel message. What is the gospel message? The gospel messenger. What is it that's part of who the person is who carries that good news? What are some of the aspects that need to be in their life if they're going to represent the gospel well? And then methods of evangelism or tools for evangelism is the 3rd area. But you'll notice that then if you see some of the elective units, some School of Evangelism do some extra work on discipleship and follow up after a person has come to know the Lord. Others focus on an area of personal evangelism. Others focus on evangelism in the Muslim world or the Hindu world. Others may even have other focuses such as online evangelism. I'm not sure we have a unit for that there yet, but if that's something you are doing in a School of Evangelism, you can actually create and propose a new unit for online evangelism to be added to the electives for this course. So there's room for you to add your own particular flavor to each course. So you've got these elective units. I've actually already said this, and that's what's in the next slide, so I'm not going to go over that again. In your course, when you do a course instance registration, when you go to create one, the required units are already included there. You don't have the option of not including them. But you do have that option of choosing how many credits. If there's a range for a unit, you can make some choices about credits. And if there are elective units, you can make some choices about that. So again, from the School of Evangelism example, in this case, you'll notice towards the top, the required credits have to be between 7 to 10 credits. And that, in this case, it made a choice about the credits for the gospel message, 2 credits. This course leader is going to deliver 3 credits worth of learning about the messenger and 4 credits learning about the methods for evangelism. And that adds up to 9 credits. You see the green little 9 credits bit there. It's green because it works. If we selected less than 7 credits, that would be showing up red. If we selected more than 10 credits, it would show up red. It's green if it's somewhere between the 7 and 10 for required units. Then you go to the elective units, they can be anywhere between 2 and 5. And here, for the example, I've selected 2 credits related to personal evangelism and 1 credit related to evangelism in the Muslim world. And that's a total of 3 credits. And that then means that the 9 credits of required units and 3 credits of elective units make up the 12 credits of this particular example of a course. Once again, your total then, when you bring together the required unit credits and the elective, needs to be in the range of 11 to 12 credits for that kind of a course. And that's also the app will if you miss that, it will be red and you'll need to go back in and make some adjustments. So that's where the course credit total, the choices you make about how many credits you provide for a unit and which electives you choose must add up to the total course credits. In this example, it was 11 to 12. I think I've got a bit of time just to very, very quickly give you some ideas. I may not even go through the whole PowerPoint, but I just want to give you some thoughts. Working in the course instance and selecting units and selecting credits is one thing. That's just the technical that will get you able to register your course. But the other thing to think about is, how does this help me plan my school? How does units relate to weeks? So what you would do as a school is look at the units, and you can get these not just from the course into the course instance registration part of the web app, but you can go to the course catalog, find the course, and you can read all of the units and all of the detail there. I suggest you actually copy that, make your own record of it so you've got it in your own file somewhere. And you can see what is in that course according to the work that the college has put together to describe it. Then take a look at that. Look at the learning goals. Is that something we're covering in our course? Look at the knowledge, the skills, the virtues that are described in those units. Are these things that we're discovering? So read the details of the unit. Think about how you have usually met the learning goals of that unit, because you probably have been. In the way that you've been running your course, you probably have been meeting this already. But just take a look at it and say, oh yes, in our course in week 5, we do this, and that's how we cover that. Or we have afternoon sessions of a workshop, and that's how we cover that. We teach that skill. We work with people one-on-one, and we help them develop these virtues. So it just gives an opportunity to think through the way you do that in your course. It might be covered in 1 week, or it might be covered over a number of different weeks. The information, the amount of learning of all that together adds up to the number of credits, the number of hours related to that unit. It might be a combination through learning activities that happen right throughout your course. I remember in counselling schools, I ran counselling schools for many years. Some counselling schools taught counselling skills in a single week. In the schools I ran, we did a counselling skills session every week for 11 weeks out of the 12 of the lecture phase. So you're looking at the way you normally do it, reading the detail of the units and saying, yes, we cover that, or, oh, we're missing that. Let's figure out how we can add that in. More than one learning goal can be included in one activity. One speaker might address learning from more than one unit in their week. It's the way you combine them together. You can break it down and recombine them so that you achieve the total at the end. Some units, when you read them, have required learning activities. So somewhere in your school, you need to be doing that. Some also have suggested learning activities, and you can think about that and say, yes, it would be good to do that. But you can also do other things. If there's something in unit that you're not already covering, work out how you can include that. And also with the assessments, each unit has either required or suggested assessment activities that you can look at. If it's a required, you must be doing that. If it's suggested, you can make choices. But when and how those work in your school is part of your planning. My last slide, I'm just going to show you a tool that you can use, and we will share this tool with you. We will give you a copy of it. It basically is just, the way I work in my head. So I created a table. I think about the unit. First unit, one of the units in DTS is Who is God? Write in the learning goals that are in that unit. And then I've just made a start in this example of all the skills, knowledge, and virtues that are mentioned in that unit. And then I ask myself a question. How am I going to train my students to be able to do that? And I can start writing in there the various places in the course, the speakers that we're having that are going to teach the students about. And then I also ask the question, how am I going to evaluate students' learning so that I can be sure that by the end of the course, they'll have achieved this? We don't leave evaluation right until the end. We're doing evaluation all the way through the school so that we can track the students' progress and see them achieve the success that God wants them to achieve. I'm sure I could take longer to go through this in more detail with you, but at least I've given you a bit of an outline of how to think about units, how to use them in the course instance registration, and how to then use the concept of units to help you refresh and reimagine and find flexibility in your course in the way you deliver things. And as I said, we will give you the PowerPoint and this tool as something you can take away and work with. Thanks.
Thank you, Brad. Thank you so much for this. I just, I know that there's a lot of details and technicality at the moment that you are getting familiar with. So don't get overwhelmed and don't get confused. So it's okay actually to get confused because that means you're trying to figure it out. And it took us a while, even for me, to be able to understand all this. So I just want to summarize some of the things. So a unit, it's not because in this system that we've been working with, we go by weeks, right? So Brad, I'm just going to ask you a couple questions, maybe just to reinforce some of these concepts. So will a unit describe a week of learning?
Yes and no. It might. If it's a 1 credit unit, it might be describing a week. But it's describing where you get to at the end of that week. What you want your students to have learned by the end of that week. But most units are more than just 1 credit. And so it's the 2, 3, 4, or 5 credits. In that case, it's describing what what students will have learned by the end of the course. And then that gives you flexibility as to how you will get them there. When I talk tomorrow about creating it, I'll show you a bit of an illustration about defining a destination instead of defining the journey. And that's an important part of the concept as well.
Yeah, so a unit is not a full learning week, which all of us are familiar with a full learning week, right? That's our language today. That's not a unit. That's what I just want to get that across, because at the
Yes.
moment our thinking is 12 weeks, 12 weeks of learning, but a unit doesn't mean 12 units do not mean 12 weeks of learning. Correct,
Yes.
right?
You'll
Okay.
find most course definitions will not have 12 units.
Yes, that's right. So that was my next point. My next point is, when you receive the course definition, there is already kind of like a template or a framework or a roadmap of how many units you need for that course. Is that correct? Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
So the way that and what I encourage you today or tomorrow, go back to your school courses that you have registered and try to think, how would you register that course with this new system? That's what I did. In our college, we have 94 courses. So what I did is I took some of them and I worked with the assistant dean and say, let's try to put these concepts into what we have. And what we notice is, what Brad said, some of those things that are in this new system, we already have them because we have already the content. So I will encourage you to do that. So the course definition will give you a roadmap of what you have to do in terms of how many units you need. So that's easier. But the unit purpose really is to describe the real learning of the student or our goal. So another thing is, Brad, elective. So because you talk a little bit about elective, the elective is almost like a specialization, not in sense, but can you maybe give us just an example of how an elective look like? Because I think that, yeah, maybe that's something maybe not all of us are. When we think about electives today, we think about seminars, right? So maybe, right? So that, because that's our current vocabulary. So maybe in this new system, how electives are used in as we create the curriculum of our courses.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, let me say, not every course has electives. Some of the course definitions are only required units, and so that's what you will work with. For the courses that do have electives, it's because over the years, those courses have included different things, depending on where you are running the course, your target group for outreach, or many different aspects of why the way you run that particular course is a little bit different to the way someone else has run it. For example, in counseling schools, the courses that I've run so many of over the years, some schools taught particular counseling models. Not every school taught that counseling model. And so you have that room to be able to make some choices about, in our school, we're going to teach this on top of all of the main required components that make up this course. And as I said, if you normally teach something that's not covered in the elective units that are there created already, you can actually propose a new elective unit that can then be added to that list of electives, and you'll be able to deliver the course in the way that you've usually delivered it.
Yes, thank you. So this is more for the second level schools. And so again, I encourage, because it sounds maybe complicated, but if you actually, like I know there's some of our guys from the college here today, go back and say, okay, the School of Dance, we have these electives. How in this new system, how will we use units? And actually, you will realize that you can actually make the course better because you have more flexibility in your learning goals. So, okay, great. Thank you, Brad. We are going to now learn. We're going to watch a video of how to register a course instance. So after that, Natalia will take us into a breakout rooms to try to see if we can practice. And then, so because if you are like me, I'm a practitioner, I need to sit down and do it. Once I heard it and once I've seen it, I need to sit down and do it. And maybe again today, try do some practice and some homework with your course and see if that might be helpful, and that will also spark more questions. So over to the video, Nata.
Friends, this is a walkthrough on how to register a course instance registration. We go first to course instance registration, then create a new course instance. We're going to select a Bible course as an example. If this course has an outreach attached to it, it will ask you if you want to register both or just one of the phases. For the example, we're going to select just one. Custom course name means the name you are going to give it to your course locally. You add a description. You can also select if you want this course to be available for the students to find in our platforms in case you don't have any security issues. Then you add the dates and edit the details. For this case, we're going very fast through the process because it's only an example, but I encourage you to take your time to fill everything properly. We can also add a second leader or at a different location in case this course is taking place in another base or another part of the world. Here we will find the credits of the course. We can preview every one of the units and the credits. Its purpose is learning goals. It's really good to take time to read everything. We will need to select the amount of credits that are required here. And then if there's any elective unit, we can add it. In this case, this course have no elective credits or units available. Then finally, we just see an overview of the course, and then we can submit for approval, or we can save the draft. Then we can come back to the dashboard of course instance, and we will see the course that we are working on. This first phase of course instance is just to add basic information, and in 2026 we will be able to add and manage information of a course instance registration that have been approved, like this one, and then we will be able to add students and grades and everything else. So this is a short video on how to create a course instance registration. Thank you so much.
Okay, wow. Yeah, so many things to learn. I don't know, how are you feeling? The first time I hear all of this, I was like mind blowing for me. And but it's just so many opportunities to go with God, to dream and to create. And I think more than just a new system or records. Records are so important because they tell the story of each one of us, and they tell the story of each one of our students. So that's why it's so important for us to be here as Fabi were saying, is maybe it sounds a little bit like a lot of technicalities, but it actually is very spiritual, because every record that we see in the system is the story of every person that has go through a journey with God. And I think all these new ideas of units, it really reflects more like what we want to accomplish in the students when we think in learning goals. I know it's different concepts that we have to use to get used, but if as a course leader I look behind or before, and I used to think in my course week by week, like this is this week number 1, week number 2. I never thought about learning goals. I never thought about what I'm developing on the students, but now it's just like different to see how can I build the house, and how can I put bricks to that house. So I just really like to see the units as a building blocks. If it's something that helps you, I am a visual person, and I really like to see the Legos. I was trying to do an activity with Legos, but I don't have enough Legos to send to everyone. But if you have built a house with Legos, put your hand. Who has built a house with Legos? So imagine that that house is your course, and now you are going to play with the units and with the learning goals. And it's so much fun to be able to move and to see how this works. And every house might look different, but they have the same essence, right? Or values. So now we are going to break small groups. They will break us in small groups, but um, some of you are asking, when can I access to the new app? And well, the new app is already live, and you can access to through the address that Miriam published here in the chat, that is rs.uofn.edu. Sorry, my English is hard when I do those abbreviations, but you can see there, right? So you can log in with your same password and with your same username. So for today's exercise, we will be around 4 or 5 people in each group. I'm sure that maybe one of you will have access to the app. If all of you don't have access right now, it's okay. After this session, we can work with the registrar to get access for you. But for now, in your small group, one of you need to access to the web app, to the new app, and you can share a screen with your group so that others can see what you are doing. And the exercise that you are going to do is to explore the app. Go there, look what it has. We have the course catalog, and go to the course catalog and search your course that you normally run. It could be Foundations for Counseling Ministry. It could be Disciple Bible School. Search your course and see how it looks in units. So go through the units and explore together and ask questions each other. Explore the app, see, like talk about what is unit, give feedback. So this will be the first exercise that we are doing, and then we will come back and then we'll get more feedback, and we will also have a homework, and then tomorrow we are going to practice more. So anyone has a question before the small groups? Yeah, if you create a course instant to practice, you can do this. You can do that as a team, but you need to put test practice UofN 2026, so that we know that it's a practice, and we know that we had to delete it later, because then we will have how many people are here? 98 instance open. So just if you want to create something, put test practice UofN 2026, and don't submit it, because it will go, it's live, it will go to the college. So we don't want a lot of things going out that is a test. And yes, I can send all the documents through email, and we will send all the videos that we have, and we will keep sending material as we get more material. So if we don't have more questions, let's go to the breakout groups. We will have around 15 minutes. So yeah.
Bobby.
Are we all back? Okay, great. Thank you. I hope you guys have at least some idea of as you went into your breakout rooms. We just want to open the floor for questions. I'm not going to answer all your questions because we have all the other experts here, so I don't have all the answers. And we might not even have all the answers, but yeah, I'm just going to open up. If you can just raise your hand, and then if you have a question, this is the time. Tomorrow you might have more questions, which is okay, but we just want to give the time now for you to ask questions. Are there any questions? Yes. You can unmute and just go for it. Yes, I see Castillo. I think I see your hand.
Yeah, so, we were looking in the DTS and it says, you got to get to a certain level of credits, and there's some units where you can jump it up to like 3 credits. What do you do in a DTS lecture phase to raise it from, say, 2 credits for one unit to 3 credits?
Right.
Add more classes.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, in general, it's about how you plan your 12 weeks, and you are balancing out how much emphasis and how much time you give to each of the units in response to that. And that's where the planning tool that we're sharing with you can help a little bit as well. But when it comes down to specific courses, I encourage you to get in touch with the college or the center as well, saying this is what we've been doing, but we would really like to give this area a bit more emphasis. Do you have any suggestions of how we can do that? So contact your regional DTS person and discuss it with them also.
Okay, did that answer your question? No?
No, but that's
You-
okay. I'll contact my local DTS
Yeah,
person.
that's because I don't want to get into the specifics of how to do that with DTS, because then you're getting into what the curriculum is and how to break that down.
Is there anybody here? I see Mar. Is anybody here from the DTS that could answer this question? If not, that's fine, but I just want to make sure if there's anyone from the DTS center.
Oh, I mean, I probably cannot say that I have the perfect answer, but for sure, like if you look at the curriculum, like Brad was saying, you will see that there's certain topics in the curriculum that you say, well, those get covered in 1 or 2 or 3 or maybe even a week. But there are topics that you're looking at that are going to maybe expand over a period of 2 to 3 weeks that are much broader and much more in depth that will then therefore have more credits than less. So it's really a small difference between 2 or 3, but usually if you have a greater expansion on that subject, which you will see in the curriculum, the reframed document, some of them have much more depth and to that. So you will see where you will definitely be only 1 or 2 credits versus 3 or more. Does that help a little bit?
Yeah. Thank you, Mar.
And
Yeah.
while we've got Ma there, she asked a question in the chat, so maybe I can quickly answer that one. Ma was asking about having registered one school, but we plan to run other schools. How can we do that and register them? That first school you do will go through the approval process. Once you've done that, you can add as many other DTSs as you need to, as you are planning to run over the next 1 or even 2 years. It's not limited. You can just keep adding. You have your varieties such as sports DTS or whatever. Each of the names and varieties can be added, but just wait until you've got that first one through an approval notice, and then you can continue to add after that.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Any other questions that we can answer or that we can try to?
Anna is asking here if 25 hours of learning equals 1 credit. DTS lecture phase now will give more credits. Before was 12, now will be around 24. So remember that our courses will be running the same, will be running in weeks, but we are not counting anymore the credits by weeks. So a unit could be actually be like 25 hours, right? Sorry, 75 hours. So that unit, if every 25 hours is a credit, that unit will be 3 credits. But that unit maybe be developed in 3 weeks or 4 weeks. So we just had to get out our mind of a week is 50 hours of teaching or learning. Of course, we also have or worship or intercession or normal activities that we also do that are part of the requirements of our courses. So we also have to keep in count that. So mostly of our courses will be running the same by weeks, but the way we are thinking them will be by units, but maybe new courses that we are doing will be different. Will be, and Brad can add to that.
Yeah, just to say, with the 25 hours of learning per credit, first of all, the DTS context, you've still got another 25 hours of community engagement. There just isn't room to do more than 12 credits in 12 weeks. Second, and that overall is the same for any course. You wouldn't be usually gaining more than 1 credit in a calendar week, just because of all the other elements that go in. Usually, there can be some small exceptions. The other thing to consider with DTS, there's still a maximum of 12 credits that you can receive for a DTS lecture phase, and that's part of the course definition as well.
I don't know if Miriam wants to add something.
Yeah, I don't know if the question that they made of 24 credits, it's because we have 50 hours a week on a GTS, right? Or on most of our schools. But remember that 25 hours is related to learning activities, which is classroom and book reading and maybe watching videos and anything that you do in your school that is related to the learning of the student. 25 hours, 1 credit. The other 25 hours are still mandatory for the schools that are live learn, such as DTS, such as FCM, SPS, and many of our courses are the mode of delivery is live learn. If it's a live learn course, which means that all students come to your base and they are there all together for 12 weeks, we are only counting the hours of learning activities, but it's still mandatory that they have 25 extra hours of involvement with the community, which are the intercession, maintenance, and worship, and small groups, one-on-one, and all the other activities as well.
Yeah, that's a very important thing for us to understand. So thank you, Miriam. That's for the live for the on-site, so live learn, that will continue. Is not that suddenly we will get rid of the non-formal learning. So that's actually a very good point, because that's part of who we are as a mission and as a university, is we have this non-formal learning. Yes, thank you. Anybody else?
I have a question.
Yes, Sarah.
Can you hear me? Yeah. You said in the beginning that the system will be ready by March, right? But if we have a school starting by February or January, how should we do that? Should we do in the old system or in the new system? How can we how can we be able to add new students in the new system? Is that clear? Yeah.
Yes, it's clear.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's clear. Thank you, Sarah. Yeah, the new system is ready. The app is already live, but the part that will be launched in March will be adding students, grades, the review part, and the payments. That will be on March onwards, right? So if you have a school that is starting the 1st of January, you register in the new app, right? But if it's a seminar and the seminar is 4 weeks and you say, oh my goodness, I cannot register my students. So you will tell your students that we are in a transition time and that they need to give us grade as the system finish, and that you promise as a course leader to finish the registration once the system will be available with that part. So you can say to them, we already have registered the school, but we don't have the part where we can add you as a student, but we will have it soon and we will get back to you with your certificates. So for that is for short seminars or for courses that is maybe 4 weeks or 5 weeks that will end before March and we need to give certificates. So we can tell them, and you keep, as a course leader, keep all the information in a PDF so that when the system is ready, you can put all that together and have the certificates. That will be like the part of the transition that is not very smooth, but we have to go through that, and then that is like how we will go through that. But if you are running a course that is starting the 22 of November of this year, where you are going to register that course? Even if your course finish next year, but it's starting 22 of November of this year.
The old one, right?
Yeah, very good. Thank you, Sarah. In the old one. Yeah.
Very good.
So Natalia,
This is
one
the
question.
Yeah.
One question, just, I mean, I think I know the answer, or at least I should know. But by January 1st, the old system will not be able to register schools, right?
Yeah.
Correct. So basically, from January to March, we will register our schools, but by March, the whole process hopefully will be smooth, it will be established, but we have those 3 months to try to work out and see. But everybody should focus on register their courses in January. Is that correct?
Yeah, is that correct? Remember that now we have course instance registration, and the first part of course instance registration, that is all the course detail and the units where we choose the credits, is available now, so we can do that for all of courses. But the part where we put the students and where we put the grades and the payment will be ready after March. So yeah, that is like the transition that we have to play with.
Okay. Any
I
other
don't know if
questions?
Miriam wants to add something to that.
Yes, Miriam, please do.
Yeah. So for example, your DTS, because it's one school, right? If it begins in September, some of your schools just began in September, you will complete the DTS in the old system, because lecture and outreach are a combined school as far as the DTS. But if you have, for example, a counseling school that the lecture phase began in September of 25, you will register the lecture phase in the old system. But if the outreach begins in 26, because the starting date is in 26, then you will register that outreach in the new system. So if you use the new or the current system, will depend on the starting date of your course.
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
And the current app will be live for some time. Okay, so you will be able to, let's say that you had a school that you didn't have time to complete. It began this year of 25, but you didn't have time to complete it. The current app will still be live for you to maybe still print a second a certificate, a duplicate certificate or something like this. Okay, at least for some time it will be live.
Great, thank you, Mira. One more question. If you register a course today, you pay for the registration, but it's gonna run next year. How does that work? Are you gonna be able to, do you have to register again, and will you have to pay again?
Remember that we don't have more costs for registration. So in the new system, when you register the new course, you don't have to pay anything. Now we only have fee for the students.
Okay, good. That answered the question. Okay, any other question? There's a question about our
Here,
school. Go ahead, Nata.
yeah. It says our school starts on Sunday and finishes on Saturday. When I load the dates, they keep changing to Saturday start date and Friday end date. I try to change the dates many times, but it keep reverting to the different days. Why will be that?
We are
Miriam,
having
yeah.
a problem with our calendar, okay? So that has been a major challenge for our engineers, because in the mobile app, when you put a date, the mobile app is advertising one day before. It's don't change the date that you put on the app, okay? Because it's correct in the system, it will be correct, but it has to do with time zones, and the engineers haven't yet figured out how to fix that calendar issue. So yes, it is doing that. It's you put for the 2nd of January, and it's putting the date as the 1st of January. So it is a glitch that we are aware of that.
Yeah, for glitches, there is some glitches that we are experiencing, and this is where we need the grace of each other. But also, if you find a glitch and you say, to who can I communicate this glitch? Where you can communicate to your international registrars that they are there for serving you. You can also write to, I'm going to send this email to Daniel Castro. He's also part of the team that is working on the app, so he can get also the glitches and pass on when we are working in the app. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Well, it's in my clock is 9:01, and your clock might be, I don't know, 6:01 or 5:01. But if there are not any more questions, no, then maybe I can ask Marcus Busser to just close us up in prayer. And then before that, Nata, you want to give us just some instructions for tomorrow and for next week, if they're, maybe just to say the next week. Yeah, just go ahead.
Yeah. So for tomorrow, we will meet at the same hour, and it's the same Zoom link to facilitate the things. And if you can really work in this document that Brad prepared, that is how to, I don't see it here, but I send it in the chat, course planning. So I send it in Spanish, Portuguese, and English. If you can try to do that exercise with a unit and the learning goals, and to see how it goes, will be amazing for tomorrow. And also, if you can enter into the app in your houses and explore the catalog a little bit more. If you cannot enter, contact one of the registrar or contact us. We will help you. And yeah, tomorrow will be fun. We will learn how to create new courses in the UofN 2026. And next week, we are running the same workshop, but in a different time zone. So it will be the 20 and the 21. And I think for Colombia time will be 5 o'clock in the morning to 7 o'clock in the morning. So you can just, Brazil will be 7 in the morning to 9 and like that. So you can see what, if you want to join us again, you can join us, but you can also spread the word as if you see more people that can be champions of the UofN 2026.
Yes,
Very
great.
good.
And if you want to be one of these champions, just contact us and then we'll have a chat with you. Over to you, Marcus.
Okay, let's pray. Yeah, thank you, Father, for everything you have been doing. Thank you for all the people that have worked so hard also to get this new system. And also, Father, pray that we might be able to see more and more all the advantages of it. I pray also that you give us patience, that we will have peace, clarity, while it being adapted. So help us to be also multipliers of your peace, of your message. Help us to understand it step by step and to be encouraging others to understand it also. In the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, guys.
Amen.
Gracias.